Hi, everybody, and welcome to this lovely, lovely holiday season. As you can see, I have my gold bow on tonight, and last week I had my little Minnie Mouse Christmas bow. This is my New Year's bow. And we are on the precipice today of the new year, something we've been preparing for all year, doing all these streams, even the year before. And you guys know that I'm talking about you've prepared and you're catapulting into 2022. And you want to be ready. You want to be ready to go. You want to be ready with your energy. You've already planted your seeds. It's now time to reap the rewards and to just lunge forward and make all those positive manifesting things happen. Now, as you guys know, this is kind of bothering me here. As you guys know, I'm all about, the internal work. And that's what I've been focusing on for the last year, because what you guys are really looking for in this space of transformation where the energy is really crazy out there and you feel very turbulent. And there's a lot of people over the past 15 years have been focusing on the externals and trying to change the externals and not changing the internals. And that's why the world kind of got to where it was. The illusion that the externals could change and we could all be in a higher state of consciousness, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for a while and it's not working anymore. And so a lot of us, since the pandemic and since the stream, and you guys all know what I've been talking about is all about transformation, talking about moving the internal energy. Because what you guys are really looking for is peace of mind. You're looking for contentment. You're looking to feel at peace. You're looking to feel grounded. You're looking to feel present. And most of all, you're looking to feel connected to this world, to the people around you, and to the universe, right? But you don't think that's what you're really looking for. You think that it's, a new job, a new car, money, a new relationship, whatever, because you're looking for that high of that feeling, but that feeling wears off. And then a lot of people, especially people that I've interviewed in the past 2 years, we've had multimillionaires on this show. Okay. That said, that's where they thought it was at. If only they could fix their financial problem, everything would be better. And yes, that does take off a lot of stress once you do have those financial things happen. Financially, you're much better off. But then they got to that place and they're like, okay, what now? You listen to some celebrities that say, hey, I thought it was all about recognition, getting famous, rich and famous. And then they get there and then they work their whole lives to get there, to get that money, to get that fame, get that status. And can you imagine the depression that sets in when they realize like this isn't where it's at? I've heard so many stories about that. So what you're really looking for right now is, I know that you're thinking, if only these external things could happen. You're really looking for that internal shift. And my guest today, he's not only a musician, he's also a Qi Gong instructor, a meditation coach, and someone who has been to the darker side of Sears, if you know what I'm saying. If you don't know what the darker side of Sears is, nobody actually does, because I just made it up. But I know what it means to me. Okay, so darker side, okay? Meaning like, in order to transform and get to the light, everybody has to go through their own shadows. Everyone has to go through the dark night of the soul. And I've been there the past 2 years. And I can tell you that if you're going to do this personal work, it is not easy. It's not comfortable. But you realize at the end of the day, you're just looking for magic. You're looking for magic. It exists. You're looking for a feeling. It exists. Magic exists, but it starts with you aligning to that universal power, to that universal energy. And even as a medium for 25 years and as an intuitive and a highly sensitive person, I didn't realize how disconnected I was to the earth, because my whole job was dealing with people on the other side and all the energies around me. So I was not connected and present and connected to other people. So you can imagine how lonely that was and what a void that was for me. When I realized that my body, my physical body on the earth plane, was not participating in this life. Okay. And let me just say, the Intuitive Development Series finally is going to be coming up in February. The Intuitive Development online course that I've created, that's taken me the past year. If you want to go, just go to the link in bio or go to the description of these videos and you can get on the wait list for my Intuitive Development online course, which you can take and finally learn how to trust yourself. Okay. Yeah, it's important to get information from psychics and mediums and to get that, have a guide once in a while and a guru to kind of get you on the right track. but it's not meant to be a dependent. You shouldn't depend on those things to know how to trust yourself and your own intuition. So my goal for you this year is to, one, internally connect with your energy, ground your energy like we talked about last week, and also experience the magic, which is what you're looking for. It's not out there, it's in here. We don't have a choice anymore. We had a choice over the past 15 years to run, to distract ourselves, to work, to make money, to buy things, whatever. Um, but you had the choice to kind of put it down. You don't have the choice anymore. The universe is at a point where our consciousness is moving, and you have to get on the train because you're going to be left at the station, if you know what I'm saying. So let's talk about Peter Paul Parker, which I'm very excited about. Like I said, he's a meditation coach, Qi Gong instructor, sound healer. Okay. He's also a musician. He is an expert in the mind body connection. Okay. And working with both the energy body and the physical body. Peter has run a successful coaching business for many years, and he has particularly done amazing work with the elderly. He's also set up a charity called Brighter Living to help the elderly with their health and well-being using Qigong and meditation. And he's also worked with local schools, helping people connect with themselves from grandchild to grandparents. So if you're 9 or 90, Peter's there for you. He's launched the Bright Beings Academy, which is his online business, which incorporates everything that he does to empower people to reach their full potential as human beings. So we're going to learn today from Peter how to use your breath to connect to a more spiritual life, cleansing your body of all that negative energy from the last 2 years. We need that, right? And to help your intuition be your guide and to find your profound purpose, which I know you all want to do. Where your mind goes, your energy flows. So focus on what you want in your life, and you are not conditioned to think. And I'm terrible at that. I think way too much. Be open-minded and accept people are different from you and how you think and perceive. So he's also has this opportunity for the lounge guests and for anyone that's watching, which all of our lounge guests get amazing perks from watching the show from all of our guests. He has something that is only going to be available to 20 people, and I'm taking one of those spots, just so you all know. I'm getting on the list. And there's a special application to do this, but this is such a special opportunity that I'm going to let Peter talk about it himself. So without further ado, let's bring on Peter Paul Parker.
Hey,
Hi.
happy New Year.
How are you?
I'm really good, really good, really good. Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. And I completely agree with what you're saying. Absolutely 100% wholeheartedly. You knocked it on the head. You really got it there. That's brilliant.
Great. So I know we talked before the show. You talked about how you're in the darker the darker side of Sears, as I said. So you
Yeah,
didn't just become this like spiritual guru guy, right? Like
no.
you've been through the ringer.
Yeah, I had a traumatic childhood, and that I went into the sales world, and I just wasn't happy with any of it. I was making great money, and I just walked away from it, walked away from my mortgage, and became a musician. And that took me on a wonderful path. And I went to college. I went to this party, actually a music business party. I was like right on the edge of becoming like a session musician, a really high flying session musician. And I went to this party, and the energy in that room was so dark, and there was things happening in that room which was so heavy. I literally walked out and thought, I don't want to be part of that. That's just not what I want to do. And I carried on being a musician. I was successful. I was touring and gigging and things like that. But there was a really dark side to it. I carried on drinking and things like that. But it was yeah. There's this material world has got wonders when you dig them out. But you need to be discerning, use your intuition, like your sixth chakra, to realize that's got to stay clear of that. Oh, here we are over here. Took me years to go. Oh, here we are over here with going from the Jack Daniels to the smoothies, but
Right.
it was
Right.
like yeah, it was interesting to see that, and there is a darker element, obviously, to this material world, and we as especially sensitive beings need to be aware of that, and we don't have to be affected by it, which I think is fantastic. We don't have to be affected by it, we can observe it, but we don't have to be affected by it. And I did have an out of body experience as well, which was incredible because after that party, I had this out of body experience which shed all of this material conditioning from me. So I was exactly how you explained it. I was like all over the place. I was up in the air, all into the esoteric world, experiencing astral phenomena. I had because my mother and father died when I was very young. They came back to me and told me to let me go. They kind of just appeared in the room as a presence, and I didn't really see them, but I sensed them. And I thought I suddenly realized that I was attaching myself to so much, and just after that, that's when I had my out of body experience to get catapulted into this place, which was just beautiful, absolutely wonderful, beautiful place.
Wait,
Which
wait, wait. What do you mean you have this so your parents passed and they appeared to you, they did physically appear to you, or did they speak to you, or like how did this happen?
when you sense somebody,
Yeah.
when you sense somebody and it's them, it's their energy. I
Yeah.
was lying there, just about to go to bed, and I just sensed them there. I kind of almost smell them. It was so tangible that it was them,
Yeah.
and they were just talking to my intuition. It wasn't a voice. It was
Right.
just like, "Let me go. You can't carry on holding on to me because you're doing yourself harm." And that was it. Both of them did it. Both of them came back to me because I everybody was saying that I was a tearaway and a terrible teenager and stuff like that because my mother died when I was 11, and it was harsh, really harsh. I was like really traumatized, and I was sent off to boarding school. That was traumatic as well. And then my father became disabled when I was 10, and then he died when I was 19. So I went out into this hostile world of sales, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand human beings all being negative and taking from each other. And I'd seen that from a very early age anyway. So I'd gone through this world as a highly sensitive human being, seeing all of this traumatic childhood, and then coming into this rock musician world, which I thought was great fun because I could just be myself, and it was just
Right, right.
parties all the time. It was fabulous until this dark element started to creep in.
So what was
As I,
the start like what was the start you're saying, because everybody's probably going to want to know about this, and I know it's piquing my interest. So what,
yeah,
when you see musicians, you see rock stars, you see them touring, you see them going backstage, but a lot of people talk about this darkness, like with the music industry, like what goes on behind the scenes, like what did you see, what did you experience behind the scenes of this rock star life that was dark? People are, I'm sure people are on the stream wondering this. I know I'm wondering this. What did you experience there?
well, I walked into I was just like emerging, as it were. So I was very quite young, and I was just emerging. So I was invited to this party, and it was the launch of I think it was Sony launching one of their little subsidiaries. There's a lot of these big companies make out um, there's other little companies, but actually they're owned by bigger companies anyway. So that's how like the corporate structure works, like a pyramid. Anyway, this was like a Sony company, so it was like a big music label. And I walked in there, and it was just heavy with it was just a heavy energy. That's all I could describe it. It was like sucking you in. It like sucked the life out of you. And then there was like a stage where two identical twins were completely naked, um, doing their stuff with each other. And I was going, well, that's not
Wow.
right for a start. That's like an incest. I thought, oh god,
That's like, this was like at a backstage party?
this was the party. This was the party.
Oh,
And
jeez.
I went, oh my goodness me. And then I walked into another room, and people were just like zonked out, with needles hanging out their arms, and just all over
Mm.
the place. And there was cocaine all over the tables. And then I went to another room, and there were people all completely off their heads on something or other. I'd been in bands before with Rastas and things like that, all smoking pot, and they're all fine, like people like Bob Marley. And yeah, man, they're really peaceful. But this was dark. I mean, really, really dark. And I thought, I don't want to be part of this. This is just awful. And it was the universe saying to me, if you go down that path, you'll die. You will die. And
Yeah.
I realized that at that point. So that's when I walked out of the party, and just sat outside and thought, I'm not doing that. It was very dark, very dark. So I have experienced the darkness of it, and after that, I experienced the light, which was like I was going from like this really dark place to this light. And you were saying about Dark Night of the Souls, it's you keep going through them, you keep
Mm-hmm.
going through them. And this was like one of my big ones to go to this party because it was like my dream. Anyone asking me when I was younger, what do you want to be? I said, well, I want to be a rock star. You know,
Right.
I just, of course, well, yeah, well, of course
Yeah.
you do. And it,
Everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be a rock star. Everybody wants to
yeah,
be like get to that level. But there is that some of these celebrities get to that place and then they come back and they say, it's not what I thought it was going to be. And
it's like,
I don't know why there's so many negative, but there's a lot of addiction. There's a
yeah,
lot of, and with addiction and especially that far gone, there's negative dark entities that kind of are around that because they want to be able to come in and experience the world again so they can come through people that are using, and that's how it
mhm.
goes. They want to
Yeah,
take them out.
yeah. So it was I witnessed that firsthand, and I thought that was quite incredible for me. And it is I have had dark entities as well. Came to my flat when I was living in Staines. Um, so I've had that. I wear black tourmaline now and things like that to keep them away. But I haven't had anything like that for a long, long time. I've kind of cleared my energies from all of that. Um, but the music, when I had the out of body experience, it made me realize that this physical experience is not. It is illusory, but it's like an enormous school. We learn through the body, which is
Mm-hmm.
why I got into Qi Gong. We actually learn through the body to refresh ourselves and make us even bigger in the higher realms. We kind of expand up there, and I kind of see that now. I was really confused and dazed because you go through this experience to experience to experience. Think, what is going on there? Because you go one minute you're really down there and you see in the darkness, and you're right up in the light. Um, and when after I'd had the out of body experience with the band that I was in, they said, you're acting like Jesus Christ now. I mean, we got to let go of you. We're a rock band. We can't have you in our band. And they literally ushered me on. I thought, gee, have I changed that much? I didn't realize it because I was like on cloud cuckoo land. It's like, yeah, everything's really. So I was like really out there with everything, saying, it's all about love and all about your heart. And slowly, I came back down to earth and grounded again. And that's kind of about the time I found Qi Gong, which was I was really stressed and anxious because my music business was fading because it was mainly on the live side of things. And then I found Qi Gong and I realized that my stress and anxiety virtually disappeared within the first 2 or 3 months. It was just
What?
gone. What?
So
Really
you're
quick.
talking about your out of body experience. Was it a near death experience or a dream out of body experience or a vision? What exactly happened to you during that moment?
It happened twice. And the first time was actually when I was playing with a famous rock band called Thin Lizzy. Some people don't call this an out of body experience, but it definitely was. I was playing and then I was up at the top of the auditorium as all I can say is like an energy sphere, and I could see myself, but it wasn't like with the vision that I got with my eyes. It was a
Hmm.
different vision. It was like, have you ever seen that Jodie Foster film Contact? It was like
Yeah.
that vision. She visits her father. It was just like that, unbelievably so. So I think somebody's had an out of body experience and explained that to the guys who created that, and it was like that, seeing myself down there on the stage with the other guys playing, and it wasn't really sound; it was more vibrations, or like a pulse. It was like a pulse,
Hmm.
and then there was these other entities around because I was doing I was filling in for Phil Lynott because it was Phil Lynnott's tribute gig. He died. Um, and he was the bass player of Thin Lizzy, the original one. So I was playing his place with all the other original members of Thin Lizzy, and there was all these other entities up the top of the arena, and they were just saying, Peter, everything's amazing, you're doing such a wonderful job, everything's beautiful, everything's great. And I just had this enormous sense of love and well-being and looked after. I'm even getting goosebumps thinking back then, and this was like 35 40 years ago, 35 years ago, maybe a bit less. And it was like, whoa, yeah, this is where I want to be. And I felt like I was home. And I'd realized all the conditioning, all the trauma, all the upset, all the anxiety, all the stress, all the worried about where the next gig is coming from, everything like that. all gone. Everything had completely disappeared. I was just this existence, this consciousness, this beautiful being that felt like it could do anything and be anywhere at any time in this auditorium. And then something cropped up in the back of my mind, because this is my first big gig. And I thought, what are you doing? You're having the gig of your life, and you're messing about up the top of the auditorium. Then bang, straight back in my body, straight the crowd straight down. I'm playing again. Whoa! It was like incredible. And I don't know how long it was for, but it was like it felt like it could have been for hours. It was like a timeless thing, and it was probably seconds, maybe minutes, because we were in the middle of a part of a song where we were jamming. We were jamming away in this part of the song called "Dancing in the Moonlight," and so there was no real structure to the part anyway. So if I'd have messed up while I was away, then it wouldn't have mattered. But it was just the most incredible experience of my life at that time. It was just amazing. And then about 3 weeks later, I was bending over to turn the TV off in my flat, and I had this shoot across, like it felt like infinity, like I was connected to everything, and then zap back in, and then I sat back down because I was in a bit of a haze, and then I went out of my body again, just very, very slightly. Not such a profound feeling, but just reminding me, look, focus on this, pay attention to this. This is important. So the universe was telling me this is really important, that you remember this, that you remember you come out of your body, that you remember this is just the physical body. This is your real entity. This is you. So this physical body is the vehicle. And that really made me think, okay, I've got to do something about my diet now. I've got to do something about my drinking and things like that. And that took a long time because I was so conditioned with all the food, all the junk I was eating, all the drinking. Everybody was drunk at that time in the music business. You'd walk into a meeting at 3 o'clock, everybody would be drinking or smoking or doing something. It was just natural. Everybody was doing it. So there was no health involved at all. I don't know how they all look so good. I think it must be makeup and cameras, but it was. We were all youthful exuberance as well. But it was telling me, life was telling me, move out of this darker world into this lighter world. And I met a astrologer about 10 years ago, and she mapped my life out. She was brilliant. She went and she took my date of birth and she took my name, and she did my chart. She brought it out and said, well, you've been a musician, or you've been involved with music. Now in the middle of your life, which is around now, there's going to be a massive change for you, because you're going to go, it's going to carry on with something to do with music. She said maybe vibration, energy, Qi Gong, but you're going to be running along the two things. One of your music's not going to be so successful, but what you actually do will be very successful. And she's kind of nailed my life completely. Said you've had trauma when she didn't know me at all. You've had trauma when you were a child, and all this. She literally mapped my life out, and I went, oh my goodness me, And I was thinking, energy. What I had no idea what she was talking about. So this must have been about 15, 20 years ago, and I've slowly gone through all of this transformation myself, going to many different things, learning sound healing, learning Qigong, learning Sundo, learning martial arts, and really focusing on my body now and being in the moment, because it sounds really easy, right? Doesn't it? When you say, oh, just be in the moment, but
right.
your mind, it's all over the place, isn't it? It's like a time travel.
It's not easy. It's not easy. Could you explain to like the audience what is Qigong? Because I know what it is, but I'm sure a lot of our listeners don't.
The Qigong that I teach actually comes from Korea. So Qigong was part of the traditional Chinese medicine sort of practice, and it's an energy process basically. Qi means energy, Gong means utilizing well or even mastering. So you're learning to use your energy, and people realize that their body, like the nose is for smelling, and their tongues for tasting, and their ears are for hearing. But you also have energy areas of the body, and we call them danjons in Korean. So you have your lower danjon, your middle danjon, your upper danjon. So when you're lower, most of us are like this, like a triangle, an upside down triangle. So we've got all our energy in the head, either through spiritual experiences because we have a more open pineal gland or sixth chakra, or because we're stressed and anxious. We've got so much information coming into our head at the moment, and we don't deal with it properly. So we've got an upside down triangle. So that would be your upper dantian, your upper danjon, we call it in Korean, which is
So
to do
wait.
with,
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to understand. I understand the concept of like someone like me having all the energy up here, or somebody who's anxious having all the energy up here. So when you
yeah,
make the triangle, is that this part up here is all the energy up here? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah, your energy
Okay.
pulse. So you've got a hot head. You'll have a
Right.
hot head,
And then the
which is,
energy gets stuck there.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Can't move
So
out
that's
unless your
why you
crown
got,
chakra's not open.
yeah, your crown chakra will be closed as well. So you got that, and the way our society works is it pushes us into our left brain as well. So you've not only got energy stuck in your head, you've got your energy stuck in your head to your left side. So there's no creativity happening as well. So that's why you get
Oh my
stuck in
God. Is
these
that why my
connections.
left side hurts so bad all the time?
Yes,
It's
yes,
because like doing
yes.
all this like mediumship is blocking my creativity. It's I remember I'm an artist, right? So I stopped being creative when I started my mediumship career 25 years ago. And now and then I had pain in my left neck, left knee, left ankle. I'm like, what's going on with the left side of my body? And
Yeah.
you're so can you explain that again? It's how does that get blocked?
Our our energy comes up to the head, and it's too busy because we can't process it. Especially if you're sensitive. If you're highly
Mhm.
sensitive, you can't process everything that's going on. So it just gets blocked, and then you become numb, and then physical ailments will start to come out. They did it with gallstones. They've scientifically proven it. If you don't deal with the stress that are causing the gallstone problems, it will go into gallstones. The same with the head. If you're not dealing with all the stress in the head, it will start to manifest it, like you say, into headaches or um, just high blood
Neck
pressure
tension, yeah.
going up, hypertension, heart problems, because you're not dealing with the energy. And the way that our society works, and look what we do to children so early on, you get them to forget about your imagination. Get down writing down. You've got to write down how you put a bank sort of bank together, put your numbers together, and put your words together. While these children are trying to create and just use their imagination
Mhm.
and their intuition, they're being chucked into this like left brain field. So we've got this problem where we're all coming out in the left brain and it's getting overloaded. You think about how much information we input into our brains every day, probably more than our ancestors took in a lifetime. It's just like bombarded. And when it's
Mhm.
all active up here, which is what I used to be like, you tend to be a little bit more unstable on your feet, because
Disconnected.
it's like heavy
Yeah.
up top, really heavy up top. And that's your upper danjon when it gets blocked. When it's open, it's like a triangle like this. So you've got a heavy base. So your lower danjon is connected, which is where your power, your passion, and your
Mhm.
actual creativity comes from your lower danjon, which is connected to your neocortex through your vagus nerve. You have a vagus nerve coming around the back, which is why you
Yes,
get.
yes, the trauma and the polyvagal theory. I just started to learn about the
Oh,
polyvagal
brilliant.
theory and how um, polyvagal theory talks about the different states of the nervous system and how
Yeah.
our vagal tone with people that are highly sensitive and who have trauma is a weak vagal tone. And so we have to, the vagus nerve plays a huge part in our anxiety and our energy and the triggers and the physical body triggers that are occurring, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what about the people that are intuitive that like me, I'm a medium, or people that are on our stream that they're like this? When you're talking about the energy getting stuck with the down here, well, the people
Mm.
that are mediums, that crown center is open, right? Or like me, that crown center has to be open to receive information. So how am I still getting stuck here if that energy center is open?
Because you're not grounded. You're not grounded.
Right.
If you were grounded with your lower danjon, when you ground your body, you were talking about that earlier, that you feel like you haven't been connected with your body. When you ground that, it's what comes through makes more sense, because it would be like that. It would be clouded. But what
Mm-hmm.
comes through like that for you would I feel would make more sense. For me, when I get these higher concepts that come through, and I've had some very intellectual friends who are very well read in like the Vedas and things like that, and they'll talk to me about these high spiritual concepts. I go to bed and I wake up, I'll meditate and I come back with what I feel. And they say, well, where did you get that from? I said, I've got no idea, but that's what I feel that is. And it would be an interesting conversation. So I feel, yeah, that I was open up there. And I think that's why I had my out of body experiences. But then I realized that once I grounded myself and got my lower chakras and more connected with my body, it all started to make sense to me. And I'm not saying that your life is not making sense to you, or saying anything really about you or criticizing or anything like that, but it's just more, I feel, when we ground into our body, that's one of the reasons for being on this earthly plane,
Right.
is to increase that energy that you got up there and bring it down.
Right, because I
And
wasn't living here for a long time. I mean,
no, that's it.
that's the thing. I was getting information for other people, like very, I mean the details astronomical, but for myself, I couldn't really get that. And also I felt no connection to this world or to other people. No real
Yeah,
connection. Right?
isolated, isolated.
Right. You're looking for that. And
I
that's
got
why I
this.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's why I think some people go to those addictions or go to those, highs of the music industry or the high, because they're looking for to feel something, and they're feeling those shots of adrenaline or those drug like instantaneous feelings, but then they crash. They're
Oh,
looking for that constant of connection, presence of connection, and you can't get that from a high. You just
yeah.
can't. So if you're disconnected from the body, which most really creative people who genius level musicians have some sort of trauma in their background. They just do, because they've learned to disconnect as a mean of survival, right?
Yeah.
Just learn to stay out of the body. So that's why I think a lot of highly sensitive people are so talented with their intuition, because they had to learn to hone that to survive, um, to read energy, to get away from energy, to manipulate energy, to assess energy, to see, oh, am I in danger? Am I not? I have to get away from this. Just constantly reading energy. And so that's how they get good at that. But then they want that connection with love. They want that connection with the child. They want that connection
Mm.
of feeling magical around the holidays, or feeling that connection to the earth or to nature. And they're like, why can't I feel anything? Is this all that life's about? And I think that's what you're talking about. Like, you get
Yeah.
to those levels and you're like, nothing's working anymore. And then that
Mm.
depression sets in. So going into 2022, how is what you're talking about and what you do, how is that going to help us, not just individually as each person watching this, or me or you, how is the universe manifesting right now in consciousness where we need to come into the body? Why do we need this in 2022? Why do we need what you're talking about?
Well, from my research in the spiritual sense, we need to do it to experience it. We come here to experience this. And the Vedas talk about the golden age. We're what they call the Kali Yuga, which is like the Iron Age, and we're at the top, the height of the demonic realms at the moment. The height of the dark energy is all around us, and I think you can see that when you just
Mhm.
look out the window. And I was watching George Harrison the other day on interviews, going, "I'm lovely in my house. I'm lovely in my garden. When I go out the door, I can't stand the world." And I kind of starting to feel a bit like that myself. And you realise, well, I was, but I'm not anymore. And you realise we're here to collectively make the change, because above this realm, we're all connected. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all sort of there together. To bring that down into this realm, we need to connect with our bodies. We need to connect with that. So we need our upper danjons open but sharp, so it can connect like an antenna. And the lower body needs to be grounded and flat, so you're strong and you're powerful as a being. Power doesn't come from money. Power doesn't come from position. Power comes from your heart, which is your middle danjon. And if you're too open in the heart, you become this triangle. So like this, and that's when people are too people pleasing, too wanting
Mm.
to help everybody. Your empathy goes bananas because you want to go. You're experiencing everybody else's pain, and you're just going out and completely destroying your own body because of your empathy. And it's like literally squeezing the bottom down. So you're like this again. So the heart is still, you've still got all that empathy and that wonderful compassion for every living being and everything on this planet, but you're putting it into context for yourself, because to try and save the world is impossible, but to save yourself is possible, and to connect with other people who are doing the same thing. as you know, is possible. And that's what I feel we should be doing as a community, is just connecting with each other and saying, yeah, I'm at this point and I'm at this point, and not being worried about, well, yeah, I've got really great contact with the spirit world, but I've got no connection to the earth, or I've got great connection to the earth, I haven't got any connection to the spirit world. It's like coming together as a like a community. I think is so important, so that we ground ourselves onto the earth. And this is going to change by 2030. You won't recognize this world as it is. And I see the test is that our technology, look how quick our technology has changed from when I was very young. We had none of this. We wouldn't be able to, this is like something out of a sci-fi film, what we're doing just
Right.
here. And this
Yeah,
is like
you're
normal
right.
now. You know, it's like
Right. Yeah.
incredible how much it's changed. And our consciousness hasn't grown with that. We haven't taken on that as a human being yet. We're getting wrapped up in the consciousness. So we should be, well, what we're doing, we're loving this at the moment and using this, and we should be loving this and using that. We need to turn that around so that we're actually loving ourselves and using the technology to expand that love across the world. And I think that's so important, just to that little turnaround in yourself, to realize technology is there for us to use, not to be used by it or monitored by it or be dictated to by it. We should be the dictators of ourselves, our own sovereign beings on this planet, but connected with each other. That's what I
Right.
find so important now, right now, here at this time, because we're being divided and polarized with all these different things coming at us. We've got it now with people arguing about the climate, people arguing about the vaccine, people arguing about this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. And I got wrapped up in that a couple of years ago. And recently I just went, that's it. I'm not talking about any of that anymore. I said, if you make your own choices and your own decisions. If you want my help, come to me, or you want to be my friend, be my friend. But please don't drag me into one of your camps anymore, because I really don't want to be in a camp anymore. I want to experience this as a human being and not be polarized. Because once you start to polarize with each other, from each other, that's when you get the fighting. The middle ground with difference of opinions is good. I'm not saying that's bad. That's a really good place, because then you can distinguish what's good for the two of you, then the four of you, then the six of you, and that's what really democracy is all about. But that's kind of disappearing now. There's no middle ground when we have conversations. It's like really splits, or you're really together, and there should be like a tolerance, more of a tolerance. And why it's happening now is for us to see it. So you can see, you go, yeah, I see that now. I see it's really polarized. I see all these troubles. I see all these things cropping up. I can see that I'm really stressed and anxious. I'm seeing I'm upset. My heart is dying inside because I can't seem to move out of the position that I'm in. And that's all part of the process of you having these dark nights of the soul. I had one after the other for about 2 weeks. And then I came out the other side excited because I think something really good is coming. And it did. I felt much more enlightened, more wise. My intuition had really grown because I've gone through all those troubled nights, and now I see them as a good thing. Even when you feel like the darkest depressed, I thought this is good, because I know that there's something going to come good out of this. It's like the comeback. There's going to be something really good coming out of this, and it's a change of attitude, because you're connected with your body, and then once you can connect with your body, once you can feel what we do, we can do one in a minute if you want me to do it, like an energy meditation.
Yes.
Where you can try and sense your energy. And once you can go up your chakra system with your hands, and you feel the vortexes of your chakras with your hands, and you can come down your hands, like they call it repelling the monkey, some of these exercises, and you can feel your arm, the hairs on your arms tingling as the energy sweeps across your body. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it changes your perspective on the body, because you realize that your energy body is just as important as your physical body, and we need to be looking after both. And that's what is missing, because in our society today, we're kind of rammed into the physical body. It's all about money and power and position. And you're talking earlier about recognition, and that's what we learned in our Qi Gong, is to let go of security, let go of recognition, and let go of control. So you're not gripped onto anything. So you allow yourself to flow, flow through the life. And that's what I learned, and when I was first told to let go of my security, what are you talking about? You are secure, and the security will happen naturally. It will happen naturally. You don't have to hold on to it. So will same with control. You don't have to control anything. You let it flow. And when you
Mhm.
do that, great things happen, and you just end up in these positions where you go, "How did I end up here? This is amazing."
Well, I think people try to control because they want a sense of safety and
Yeah,
security. And so
yeah,
it's like they feel like if they don't do that, then they're not going to have that. But I do have a question for you. You mentioned the people pleasers were like this, and the highly sensitive ones are like this. But aren't like the highly sensitive ones also the people pleasers too? So what if you have both this and this?
yeah. You can be. It moves
Then
about.
what?
Energy moves around. So you can 1 minute, one day you can be really grounded. So it happens to me. Some days I'm really grounded like this, really feel good, and then the next day I'm like, oh goodness me, what's going on? I'm all over the place.
But
Not so much now.
is this the people pleaser thing? Isn't that not a good thing? That's but you said
Like,
that's what we want to be.
not people pleasers, but to um, to help people, have compassion and empathy for them. But with a people pleaser, you're using your energy to entertain them. There's a
Mm.
difference between entertaining and healing. I don't mind entertaining people. If I'm at a party and people want to have some joker in the corner, I can do that. I'm quite good at it, sort of cracking the jokes and having a bit of a laugh in the corner. But I don't do it to my expense. I do it because this is what I want to give you. And people pleasers tend to give themselves away, and so they've got no more energy for themselves. And it's an important discernment. And it can sound nasty, but it's not. I'm not talking about being nasty because if you, it's like when you on the on a plane and the air stewardess says put your mask on first before you put other people's masks on. It's that kind of principle. It's not being nasty or unempathetic, but if it's too much, you need to ground yourself and then realize what you can do. It's like I was helping 150 odd people before lockdown, and the only reason I could do that, if I'd have done it as a people pleaser, I would have completely lost the plot. But because I'd done all the training and I was grounded and I knew everyone's name and I knew all their ailments and problems, I could handle it because of my training, because I was grounded. Whereas if I would have been all in the head, it would have been really difficult for me to do that, and I'd have been exhausted every night. I was taking 15 classes a week, and I still had bundles of energy at the weekends, you know. So it's about changing your energy, understanding your energies. And when you realize you're a bit exhausted, you work on your danjon, your lower danjon. And when you feel like you're giving too much away, you work on your heart so that you bring that energy back into yourself. So it's about using your energy. That's what Qi Gong means, is using your energy in the best way that you possibly can without hurting or harming yourself or allowing other people to suffer unnecessarily. And that's the
Yeah.
discernment that I think comes with it. It's really, really important because especially highly sensitive people, you want to go out and help everybody. You want to go. My
But
wife
how is
is
that like this? How is that? Because isn't this the goal? And then if you're draining yourself, how is this like this?
like a triangle. It's like a triangle. So you've got no base.
Oh,
You've
it's
got no
like more
base.
like that.
Yeah. It's my funny little hands.
So you want to be like that.
You want to be
That's
like
that.
that. It's like a strong
It's
base. Yeah.
and then this is more like the people pleasing like that,
Yeah.
and then like that,
Yeah.
and then like that.
That is like, yeah, when you're too much in the head. It's just
What
when
if you're
I
too much in the head and you're too much of a people pleaser? Then you got all those openings going on.
yeah,
That's not fun.
it's too much for us. That's why we're
Yeah.
stressed and anxious, because it was all too much. It's all too much, and we need to learn to get that energy back into ourselves. And basically, what we're doing by doing the practices of Qigong is actually you starting to learn what you are. So there's no secrets to it, really. You could do that click of your fingers. You can do that like that. But because of the way that we're conditioned, the way our subconscious works, and the fascinating makeup of the body, it takes time for you to realize. And then once the repetition gets, you get through the repetition, you